Here at the Mayweather Boxing Club, respected trainer Al Mitchell. Everybody's talking about Floyd Mayweather, Saul Alvarez. What are your thoughts on that fight?
I think it's the right time. I'm thinking if he wait 2 or 3 years, he's gonna get older. He's gonna be younger. This is the perfect time to get him. And I look for Floyd to box him easy. Floyd might stop in the 7th or 8th round.
What have you seen in Saul Alvarez over the past few years? How do you assess him as a fighter?
I assess him as a B fighter, a good boxer. He's coming along the right time, but he's not in Mayweather's class. Not at all.
What up, his fight with Austin Trout? Were you impressed, or did you see weaknesses?
Well, I saw a lot of weaknesses. Trout, he didn't throw the harder punches that I thought. There was a lot of pit-pat, and it was a close bout. It's a very close bout. Trout is not on the level of a Mayweather.
Okay.
So that's what I'm kind of judging this bout on.
Another fighter, junior middleweight prospect you've been working with, Chris Pearson. Can you tell me a little bit about your relationship with him? What's it like kind of working with him?
Well, Chris been with me for 4 or 5 years. He was in the NMU program with me, the Marquette Bad Boys. Him, Michaela, Dab, Josh Temple, and Jesse Hart. They all come under that program. It was my last group. Program closed in 2009.
Okay.
And it was my last group, and they all stuck with me. I'm still training.
Okay, now, can you tell me just your history in sport? A lot of people know you from the Marquette University. You also trained David Reid. If you could just reflect back some years, how did you first get into boxing?
Well, I was 15 years old, and I'm from Philadelphia, North Philly. There used to be a gym, 22nd and Powell, 22nd and Columbia, and I boxed there. And before that, I boxed with a coach named Mr. Goodman. So at 15 and 16, he had me helping him to coach because he was real sick.
Okay.
So in the 60s, even though I was boxing, I was more coaching at 15 and 16.
Did you prefer the coaching aspect as opposed to fighting? I mean, what?
Well, I always wanted to make the Olympic team as a featherweight. I weighed 116 and 117. And it's funny, I never made the Olympic team like that. My father died when I was 15, so I had to help my mom. So I worked and went to the gym. And I just ended up coaching. And me and Fred Jenkins ran a program at 26 and Jefferson. Then I ran a program at Harrogate on the white side of town. And from then on, David Reid, I trained from 8 years on up. I worked with Rockin' Rodney Moore, Marvin Garris, all these was names in Philadelphia. And then I went to the program at Northern Michigan in '89. I was there for 22 or 23 years.
How did that program, what was that program like, if you could take me behind the scenes, and how memorable of a time was that for you?
Well, I remember the first year, the first 3 months, I almost cried how bad the guys was. I said, how I got into this.
Yeah.
Then I had a young man, Ricky Ray Taylor, Frank Gentile, Vernon Forrest, he was 15. And it ended up with Jermain Taylor, Timothy Rivera, Darrell Williamson, Dominique Gwynn. All these guys end up being national champs, you know. And you turn around, look, I think the highlight was in '95. Had 13 athletes in the semifinals and 7 in the national championship, and 6 won.
Wow. What about Tim Bradley? He's undefeated champion now. What was he like back then?
Timothy Bradley was a junkyard dog. The problem was he was boxing 52, and he never weighed over 46 or 47. They had changed the weights then.
Yeah.
You know, so I told him once he go pro, it's gonna be a lot better for him because he was so short. And so I figured he'd box 47, and he turned around boxing 41. He calls me up all the time. Then when I look at Jermain Taylor, David Reid, Vernon Forrest, you know, Darrell Williams, Dominique Gwynn, Brian Valor, all these guys I had when they was kids. Saku Powell.
Yeah. David Reid, you led him to the junior middleweight championship. He had the fight with Felix Trinidad. Got knocked down, lost a tough fight. How hard was that fight to watch for you?
Well, first place, I turned down the fight. We had agreement. Everybody I trained, we both have to agree on our opponents. Me and Dave, I told Dave, no, we're not taking a bout. Then I'm back up Marquette. Dave's supposed to be home. He signed up to box Trinidad, so I walked away.
Really?
His mother called me after a month and Dave was in the camp. Things weren't going right. So I ended up coming back in the camp to work with him. I told him he got to listen to me.
Yeah.
So Dave beat Trinidad for 7 straight rounds.
Right.
Then he knocked him down.
That left hook, yeah.
And he come back to the corner. And I say, keep boxing, turn. No, I can knock him out, coach. I said, whoa, that ain't the game plan. Keep boxing and moving. as soon as the round started, he got out there toe-to-toe with Trinidad, and that was the end of it, you know.
Was it after that, he didn't seem the same as a fighter? Do you feel
Well,
that
I
took a
told
lot?
him to retire. He had a bad eyelid that was coming down. The first couple bouts had come down the 8th or 9th round, then all of a sudden started coming in 2nd and 3rd. So I told him he needed to retire, so I walked away. He went with some other people. He shouldn't have been in the last couple fights.
Okay. Now, Vernon Forrest, what do you remember about him, the late Vernon Forrest? What are some of your best memories of him in camp?
All his sparring partners loved him. Vernon was an exceptional person. Not only that, Vernon was a smart individual. Vernon had great grades at the college there. You know, all the athletes I trained in that program, they had to go to college or middle school.
Yeah.
Vernon had nothing but A's. Vernon Forrest was a gentleman. And you never heard nobody say nothing bad about Vernon. You know, he was a, and on top of that, he was my first national champ.
Now, what about life in Vegas? How familiar are you with Vegas over the years, and what are your thoughts about spending time here lately with Chris Pearson?
Well, this is my 3rd time here, but I was here a long time ago. I got friends like Eddie Mustafa. Me and Eddie go way back. And so I call him up each time before I come. And I use this gym, his factory. And I have Chris here at Mayweather's gym. So I know a lot of people here. I know all the kids here because they've been on teams with me.
Yeah.
And they're good friends of mine and everything. It's hot here now. That's one thing I can relate to. But it's a class act, both gyms, and I love the sparring here. And it's a hotbed right now for amateur and professional boxing, especially professional boxing. So if you're a coach, this is the way you want to be at.
Gotcha, man. Great talk, I appreciate it.
No problem at all.